I'm Frick.
I'm Frack.
We're talking kids.
We are talking kids, and today what we're talking about is, are you projecting what you want for your kids onto them, or is it because you've seen that they're so good at something and you are unintentionally pushing them into that direction without really hearing what they really want?
And it's hard because a lot of times when we have unfulfilled dreams, right, or we wanted to be really good at something but we weren't, and we see that spark in our children, it's a natural instinct to want to be able to drive them to the goal that you can so clearly see because you had it for yourself. But as our children grow and develop, just because they're good at something doesn't necessarily mean that that's their passion or even that it brings them joy or happiness. It may bring you joy and happiness, but that is not an automatic transfer that it brings joy and happiness to them. And a lot of kids that we see are reluctant to show that they're good at something because they're afraid they're going to get stuck in that lane without realizing that they're in development. And that's what they should be doing, is testing to see where all the things that they're good at and what is the combination of the things that they're good at. What does it mean in the totality, not necessarily in the individual silos.
And it's so hard. It's so hard. I mean, I am constantly with my boys. I see something, they're so good at something, they're like, I'm done with that. You know, it's so hard to embrace that and allow them to flourish and grow or try new things. But, you know, as adults, we forget that that's what childhood's for. We're supposed to try a lot of things. We're supposed to learn about ourselves. We're supposed to grow. And what's happened with our generation's kids is we identify one little interest they have or something they're slightly good at when they're like 5. It's like t-ball or dance or whatever. And we just push them through that lane, not realizing that sometimes because we started pushing so early and 12 months out of the year, that may be why they've lost interest. And that interest could come back if we just release a little bit, you know, but we push through it and act like it's too late for them to start trying other things when they're a little bit older. But that's what childhood is about, you know?
Oh, and how often do we hear it's too late to start something? I mean, that always cracks me up as an entrepreneur when somebody says, well, I'm too late to do this and too late to do that. We start creating a false narrative when the reality is that's not true, right? There's been many, many, many people who have started their second, their third, their fourth, their fifth life career. And so we don't want to implant that limited thinking so early that they have to already be an X, Y, and Z by a certain age when it is supposed to be about self-discovery. And us to be their guide, not necessarily take the unfinished dream and apply it to them so that they feel obligated to finish what you started.
Well, and what's interesting is if you've read personal development books or even business leadership books as an adult, you've learned about this idea of growth versus fixed mindset. And that fixed mindset is actually it's when we keep them in their lane. We're fixated on this point that this is their talent. This is where they're fixed at, even when they might mention like, oh, I'd like to try tennis. I'd like to try that. And in our head, we're thinking, well, you're not that coordinated, or I don't think that's something you'd be that good at. We are fixed and we're passing that on to them. Where growth mindset is, and if you're not familiar with it, is that anything that you take a particular interest in, that you can absolutely develop the skills to take it to a level where it's enjoyable for you. Doesn't mean that, you know, for me it was tennis. It doesn't mean that I'm all of a sudden going to become a tennis pro, but I could get good enough to be able to enjoy it. And that's what we want for our kids. We want them to find the thing that they enjoy, because eventually, if they really enjoy it, they're going to end up better at it and have more skills and talent towards pursuing it at a later date because they love it, you know?
And you're looking for a pattern, right? As your children try different things and they enjoy the thing, for you to help guide them on what's the commonality between those interests. Remember, they're trying to discover not only their area of genius, but what their identity is. Nothing is worse than labeling our kids too early on. And we hear parents do it often, where this is my athletic child and this is my intelligent child, right? And so we start putting them in buckets really, really early. And we see that it creates sibling rivalry between them because one has taken over an entire topic or category, leaving no room for the other ones. And we apply the opportunities the same way, meaning further develop one child, say in sports, and further the other child in academics, when the reality is they're hybrids. They could absolutely have been equal in both, but they were fed. And so we become a default of our environment because of the mindset of the environment, the adults that are housing or directing the environment. And so be very, very careful with the labels that you use, because remember, for them it becomes who they are.
Right. And so one of the things is that a lot of times kids don't know what they want to do or what they're interested in. They just know that they have other interests or want other interests. And that's why with Designing Genius, we have created a program that is meant for an adult, parent, teacher, and a child to help go through that discovery process of creating their life book and what they value most now. So they iterate, nothing's fixed. It's what are they interested in learning more about now? How can they grow and develop in that area? And then constantly revisiting and tweaking that so they can learn different life skills and try different things, in a way that allows them to either say, I don't like it, I do like it, I want more of it. And so this new tool that we have has been really, really exciting. It's been something that parents have been asking for their child.
Because we hear so often from the adults, how do we teach kids to apply knowledge? And the only way to teach them how to apply knowledge is through life skills. And the only way they can learn those life skills is that they have the opportunity to be able to test certain things and then find the common denominator, the pattern, and then apply that knowledge, right, from one area of interest to another area of interest until they actually find their lane.
So if you are interested in getting more tips for kids, subscribe to this YouTube channel and also check out the information below where we include links and how to get and navigate over to our Designing Genius for Kids program.
If you got a question, always tell us below.
Thank you.